Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Boxed Lunch at the Fort Worth Community Arts Center. I would like to thank everybody for their patience out there. Today, the internet is ready for the weekend, and so am I. So thank you for your patience. We are back here on the Facebook site. Also, we'll be on YouTube a little later. We have two incredible guests with us today, ladies and gentlemen, and so very excited to step over and into the film world as we move through this fabulous month of August. And anything goes these days, ladies and gentlemen. So please help me in welcoming the one and only Doug Mangold and Chris Rodriguiz. How you guys doing out there today?
Good afternoon. We're doing great.
Doing well.
Nice. Well, I am so grateful for you two joining us today. And before we get started here, do you mind just introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about who you are and what it is you do?
Well, I'm Doug Mangold. I'm born and raised in Detroit, Michigan, lived there for 38 years and worked 20 years in the automotive industry. Career change brought me to Texas. My wife had some friends and family here, so we moved here. I went to school for about 2 years, got my degree in graphic design and multimedia, interned at a marketing agency for about a year, and they, not to toot my own horn, but they liked me so well, they created a position for me. And 13 years later, here I am with my own studio here in Fort Worth.
Very nice. And Chris, where'd you come from?
So I am local here to DFW. Graduated from Grapevine High School, went to University of North Texas, graduated with a film degree, and took a job out here in Fort Worth. Spent 7 years out here, lived in Dallas, commuted every day, but really grew into the role of a film director as well as a commercial producer. And so that's how I keep the lights on and stay active. And then how I got tied up with Doug is about 18 months ago, he reached out and said, thinking about building a studio in Fort Worth. What do you think? I said, I think that's amazing, and it's exactly what we need. And so I was blessed and fortunate enough to join the Lowtown team temporarily as a consultant and help go through the designing process and really bring in the right key figures to make sure that we're creating true sound stages and really creating a space that that people from out of town would want to use, and of course service our backyard with all the production companies and ad agencies in the space. So that's what we've done.
Very nice, very nice. Well, we'll get into the specifics of what all is over there at Lowtown Studios, and I'm quite excited. But what I'm most excited about is what is on your lunch menu today, and tell us a little bit about some of the ingredients that you're using to make it.
So on our lunch menu today, we have Venezuelan patacones. So my wife from Venezuela, and she's a wonderful cook, and she actually blessed me by sharing recipe with me, which she normally doesn't do. So we've got green plantains, we've got shredded chicken with sweet bell peppers, avocados, shredded cheese, sharp cheddar cheese, and sriracha mayo to top it off, as well as some salsa.
Holy smokes, that sounds absolutely incredible. And I am in awe of the kitchen studio there. I'm so just enamored with everything that you've got all set out there. I might have to come and shoot some of these boxed lunch episodes over there. So
we'd love to have you. Yes, we're here live from our Lowtown Studios kitchen.
It just absolutely looks incredible for sure.
Yeah, it is.
Nice. All right, guys. Well, I'm making one of my favorites today. And what I've got going on today is a Granny Smith grilled cheese sandwich with bacon. So little tip for you out there. If you've never put Granny Smith apples on your grilled cheese, I highly recommend it. It is a wonderful treat of bacon and a little bit of sweetness from those apples. So it turns out quite well. I've already fried up my bacon, already sliced my apples. It looks like we will have more than enough wonderful content. Watching Doug cooking down in there, he's hard at it. And
Yeah.
while he's moving forward with that, I was wondering if either or might mind telling us a little bit about Lowtown Studios. What do you have over there, and what all options are available to the Fort Worth film community?
Yeah, so here we have 4 stages, 1 room, 0 limits. I'm in one of our stages right now, the kitchen. One of the obstacles as we started building the studio, reaching out to Chris that he has, is shooting in restaurants and lounges. So you either have to shoot after hours or pay the restaurant to close down so you can shoot. So behind you here, we have a beautiful lounge area. Down the hallway where Chris is at, he's in our VO podcast booth. And then we have a client screening room. Chris designed that around getting clients and just the amount of people that are on set. Directors and producers are under enough stress. So the client screening room allows part of the crew and clients to get off stage, sit nice and comfortably, watch the feed from any stage in here on an 85-inch screen. We've got a 3-wall green screen, 32 by 32 by 32. We've got a white site that's 32 by 16. And we've also got a production office. All of our suites, all of our production offices and areas have TVs, so clients can virtually go anywhere in the studio and catch the feed from the stages.
Wow, truly incredible. Really some fascinating stuff going on there in Fort Worth. Now, are you the only film studio in Fort Worth?
No. Chris can speak to that.
Yeah, so there's some additional studios in Fort Worth. There is kind of the outskirts as well, and then in Dallas, when Doug and I were starting out in the discussion, I said, well, if you're going to go ahead and do this, then let's do it right. Let's make sure that it is truly soundproof. So we brought in Rustberger Group. They are an award-winning acoustic engineering firm, and so they were able to come out here and really beef up everything from the walls to how we handle the acoustic ceiling to the doors that just lead to the garage, the load-in dock. And so bringing that team in here really allowed us to make sure that we're soundproof so that we're not just a pretty photo studio. We can actually record video and not hold for sound. And then, what Doug touched on with the 4 different stages, I said, one of the things too that I hear from VFX teams and animators that I work with is they're always tied in usually to 1 or 2 walls of the green screen. I said, okay, well, let's make the crown jewel of Lowtown actually be a 3-wall psych environment of 32 feet by 32 feet by 32 feet. So
Wow.
Over 1,000 square feet of this green cove environment where the camera movements can now be more dynamic. You can actually dive in with the camera movement, go to 3 different walls and the floor, enabling action sequences and walk and talks that really you couldn't really do any other place around here. So that's extremely exciting. And we're starting to already see clients from Houston and Austin call and talk about that, say that's fantastic. So, and speaking of, with COVID, more things are starting to turn animation and that style of VFX, if you've been noticing on the commercials that you've been watching. The white psych environment too, wanted to make sure that we still had that for photography. Doug, with his background in photography, made sure that it was all top of the line gear. So all this pro photo tools. And then on the film side, I sat down and said, all right, well, here's your Arri Alexa Mini LF. Well, let's get a red cinema camera in here as well. And also just, some smaller cameras from the Canon side of things and making sure that we have studio glass, monitors, everything that, your client is expecting. Let's make sure we have it and look at Lowtown as kind of a boutique studio here where when a client is on for the day, it's their studio. Think of it like an Airbnb. They own this place for the day. So they need to be able to be comfortable here. They need to be able to get the job done. And one of the things that, thinking of when we're talking about that client screening room was really give them a place to be comfortable. because a lot of times when you're on set, you've got hot lights, you've got a lot of action going on. Sometimes clients get a little too close in Video Village and looking over creative shoulder, and we try to keep that distance there, but also give them a place to be able to make critical judgments on shots without a feeling like their voice is going to be heard by talent or the director or anything like that and come off the wrong way. So I really love the client screening room. And then of course it has a full editorial suite. So we're talking about top of the line edit gear, as well as DaVinci Resolve color panel to do post-production here as well. You know, you look at the entire studio, I envision it to be not only a day player when it comes to production and commercials, but also really want to encourage independent feature films to be shot here. Creating this space where investors can come for pitch meetings, where you have the lounge can be turned into a great area that holds talent, that is doing casting calls. And this whole place with the production office really can be a hub for, first and foremost, Fort Worth filmmakers like myself. And then above that is, you know, DFW, Austin, Houston, and then any other directors from, you know, producers that want to come from out of state. We welcome that as well. So we're very proud of what we've created here. And, you know, it's been 18 months. I wouldn't recommend launching a studio in the middle of a pandemic, but, you know, that was started well before then. And so we've been putting some practices in place, and I know we'll dive a little bit more into that as we get into this interview.
Nice. And Doug, just to follow up on that a little bit, Chris said 18 months. What have been some of the challenges in having to open a new business and obviously deal with the pandemic?
Well, I think there were several challenges. One of the big challenges was, first and foremost, just the layout of the space. You know, just Chris and I spent many days in here when it was just an empty warehouse, just kind of walking through it. Chris more than me, just picturing himself unloading gear and walking through here and walking through here. We moved stuff around for a few months, but once we got all the space planning established, and then we were into design, like Chris said, we surrounded ourselves with the experts, you know, as far as, you know, soundproofing. We had the acoustic engineers in here, and it was challenging, but they were able to pull it off. And then the HVAC system, just trying to pump air into studios at such a low velocity so you can't hear it while you're filming. And the location on the roof of the units, the size of the units. They redesigned the HVAC system, I think 4 or 5 times over the course of about 6 months. So we had mechanical engineers involved. The sound engineers were involved, it was very challenging. That was probably the biggest challenge right there was the HVAC system once they got the soundproofing down.
Wow, just some really incredible stuff there, and to think of all of the things that go in to creating those opportunities for filmmakers behind the walls is really something to hear about. That's just some really fascinating design elements that have to go into consideration before you bring those in there. So speaking of fascinating design, Doug, tell me a little bit about how that lunch is coming there and what all you've already done.
It's coming along, but I have to say it doesn't look like it does when my wife cooks it. But it's coming along, and I tell you what, it's going to be quite tasty. And if they don't
so what have you done so far in prepping the lunch?
Pardon me?
What all have you done in prepping the lunch? What's actually in the pan right now?
So what you do is you actually put the green plantain in here, you cook it a little bit, you take it off, and you put it on a tortilla press, then you press it, stick it back in the oil with some garlic salt and some salt. And then once that's done, you pull it out, you plate it, and you throw all your goodies on top.
Nice. Wow. It just, it looks fantastic, and I can see it just sizzling away there. So I have to say that I'm quite excited to have 2 people on a boxed lunch episode. So I'm gonna break up this next question and kind of put you both on the spot a little bit. And I'm gonna butter my bread heat up my pan and get started on mine as well while you two answer each other. So I'll start with Chris, and then Doug, same question to you. I'm curious, Chris, what have you learned about yourself and Lowtown Studios? And more importantly, what have you learned about Doug during this pandemic and going through opening a studio with a partner? And then I want to ask you as well, Doug, what have you learned about Chris and yourself as well?
So what I've learned about Doug is when it comes down to it, he gets the job done. And when you're dealing with production and live action and photography, that's what you need. You need someone that come, hell or high water is going to get this thing done and knows that he's going to outwork everyone. And every time we hit an obstacle, because there were several obstacles, COVID through, delays in just house lighting and equipment getting here and, XYZ and some cameras showing up and not fully having the right firmware. So it's all these little things. And every step of the way, Doug kept that positive attitude. And truly in production, that's what you need, because
right.
As you can see with the live stream that we did today, there's always something that goes wrong, and it's how you react to that. And
sure.
Thankfully, I've had training as a producer and as a director to expect that. Well, Doug necessarily didn't, because he hasn't been on the live action. He's been on the photography side of things. So when those things came up, he handled it like a champ. I actually gained a new friend out of it, which was really nice. It was something now to, we always joke because we were texting each other late at night and we had to show our wives like, no, this is really who this is. We're texting late at night. So, it's been a fun ride, and it really has. And I've learned that about Doug. Myself, it certainly has been a challenge because, you start the year so optimistic. This is 2020. It's going to be great. I have all these projects lined up. Either I'm directing or as a producer, and then I just start to watch them evaporate come April, May, June, July. And it was tough to stomach. It really was. And, you don't know when they're going to come back. And thankfully, I was just on a shoot last week, and I've got a big shoot coming up in September over multiple days. So it's starting to slowly come back, but it certainly changed how we operated. So that was something I've just had to learn more how to roll with these punches and keep that optimism, understand that better days are ahead, that we are all in this together. But it's certainly been trying this time.
Hey, Chris, I got to ask before Doug takes off, when you two were texting late at night, did you ever say you were talking to Jake from State Farm?
From State Farm. There was a couple of times when we would joke about it, and I literally did show the phone to my wife, Jayla, and I'm like, look, this is Doug, and he's great people, and you got nothing to worry about.
Doug, what have you learned?
I'll tell you what, I've learned so much in these last 18 months. I can't even begin. I don't know where to begin. But I'll just start with saying that I've learned so much knowledge from Chris on the film industry and how everything works and how everything flows and how everything comes together, just from equipment and just the lingo, that you need to learn. And I honestly, there's no way in hell I could have done this without Chris. No way. And he deserves more credit than I do. I put in the hard work and I made things happen, but Chris is the one who came up with all the ideas on how to structure this place. And without him, we wouldn't have Lowtown Studios, wouldn't exist. So and with that, like he said, just countless nights. I'm an early bird. I go to bed at 8 o'clock, and when I'm up at 9:30 texting someone, my wife's like, "What are you doing?" So, and with it was funny. It was funny for a while until our wives got to meet each other, and then they were like, "Okay, guys, go ahead, go to work. Do your thing," type of thing. So, Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, I couldn't have done it without Chris. And I mean, he still continues to be a part of Lowtown, even though he's not an employee of Lowtown. I mean, he's welcome here. My door's open to him, and you know, he's part of it. He's a big part of it, and we couldn't have done it. We couldn't have done it without him.
Wow, it sounds like a match made in heaven for sure. So, and now for my next question, I'm curious, and this goes out to either one of you in terms of who might have some insight on it. I know that a lot of different disciplines are starting to move into the virtual field, musicians, stage performers, and things like that. How do you see the arts adapting in the midst of a pandemic? And, you know, I asked that question before 6 months ago as we would go into this. Now here we are 6 months later. Where do you see the arts going? And I'm assuming you're in agreement with me here. How can they be assisted by film studios?
So I'll take that one, Doug, while you're chopping up our lunch over there. So one of the blessings in disguise is that it just so happened to happen was creating the client screening room. That was, you know, before COVID was just the thought, like I explained to you, getting client comfortably offset. Well, then once COVID happened and then remote work started happening, and, you know, we're looking at each other saying, wow, are people even going to want to come into the studio? Will they feel safe? And understanding that this truly is a pandemic, how do we meet them at their concerns? And what we were able to do is actually say, you know what, let's create a live streaming ability to where a client can be in the comfort of their own home, office place, or even their own state, wherever they are, and securely log on, password protected through the Lowtown website, and see what's actually being made on stage. And Doug already this past week had the opera come in and do that on the green screen studio. And so the live streaming capability has really allowed us, like I said, to meet people with where their concerns are and reduce the number of people on set. You know, you truly need the crew here to get, you know, to make the product, either the photographer, the directors. But, you know, if an ad agency's a little nervous about being on set, then they can just send one person to sit in the client screening room, be on a Zoom meeting, and be able to make real-time adjustments and calls and ask for a new take, or let's try that again, to review the footage. All of that can be done remotely. And so while we're looking at this and this not knowing when this pandemic will end, we say, okay, well, this is kind of our new normal. We've heard that saying before. So let's embrace that and let's open ourselves up to the arts. And are there ways that now through their website or you know, through Facebook Live that they want to start streaming? Let's play nice with that. And one of the things I commend Doug on, which is fantastic, is, you know, the live streaming gear and all that, that's not cheap. We're talking about film gear, and it's expensive. And so Doug is actually extended out through Lowtown is that anyone that has a production here, that live streaming comes free while during this pandemic. And so there's no, you know, barriers of entry. We're trying to reduce those. And of course, through film, we're doing the right things on set too. So you limit the number of people. We have hand sanitizer everywhere. Masks are required. We've obviously only taken them off for this, but even when we're around each other, when we'll cut this, our masks go back on. All of the equipment is getting wiped down, you know, in between shoots. And so we take it very seriously, and we're just trying to meet people at their comfort level, so that they do come down here. Because as crew, directors, producers, we don't want another shutdown. We don't want production to stop. We want to be able to soldier through and make it, you know, make it through this thing.
Yeah, some great information there. Doug, I'm curious, as a somewhat new business, how did what were some of your struggles in terms of obviously creating a business plan before a pandemic and then altering that, I'm assuming, on the fly, right as you were basically opening up to people? What were some of the challenges that you saw, and how did you address those?
You know, some of the challenges, I don't want to say it was challenging, but it was just, you know, sitting down with Chris and just kind of seeing who we can surround ourselves with, and just kind of getting everybody to the table and figuring out what to do as a group, because not one person can make that decision.
Right.
So we reached out to, I reached out to Chris, and we reached out to, Film Fort Worth and the Film Commission, just to, get checklists in place, and what do we need to do to be safe, and, masks and sanitizer and stuff like that. I mean, it was a collaborative effort, but just, asking everybody, asking the experts, asking people who are on sets like Chris, what are you guys doing to be safe? But it was a little time consuming, and of course we're not quite there yet. We've got a few people that are just trying to get their feelers out, but like Chris said, we've got the live stream capability in place to just kind of keep people safe, and we're ready to get rolling.
I bet. Well, it's so nice that you guys are out there and doing what you're doing. And I'm curious, Chris, what's your favorite feature in the studio?
Oh man, to me it has to be the client screening room. It really is, because every stage here has multi-purposes, like I've said. In the client screening room, when we end this, I'm actually in there editing a short film with an editor. So we'll be, in there this afternoon. Then we'll be able to play that. I actually am going to be screening that for the family that I followed. It's kind of a docu-style short film, and I'm actually going to bring them in tomorrow and screen it for them on the 85-inch. And then once I actually hold my first production here, I can't wait to show the client, this is where you belong. This is what's created for you, and enjoy the free Wi-Fi. And we've got bottled water and a little wine bar in the back. And you guys, this is your base camp. This is your video village. So it's just a great space. And I welcome you, Jason, and come check it out and see for yourself. It certainly is a great place to create, do post-production. And I'm not going to lie, sometimes just watch a little golf on there with Doug. We're golf fanatics, so we've thrown that on a couple times and just kicked back. And it's a really nice room.
Very nice. Awesome. Yeah, I can't wait to get over there and look at it. I will take you up on that offer. And Doug, how's your lunch coming there?
Lunch is coming good. It's looking a lot better than it was earlier, but I'm pretty confident. It's a close second to my wife's lunch. Yeah.
So, Doug, tell me a little bit about what has progressed on the lunch. I saw you moving some stuff over there to a plate. What's going on there?
So this is ready to plate. So the guys are ready to eat as soon as we're done here. This stuff here is cooking with some garlic. I've got some chicken warming up right here. We're getting pretty close to eating now.
Nice. All right, I'm going to give you a little sneak peek at mine here. So I threw it all together there, and I'm about to flip it. And you can see that I just buttered the bread, and then right inside there you can see those Granny Smith apples. I threw a little Swiss cheese on there. The bacon's underneath. So I'm just going to twist that over and see if I can keep from burning the bread there. And while I'm pulling that cheese, I did it off the plate there. So Doug, will you talk a little bit about what helpful community resources are you seeing or using personally and with your studio? And how can your organization be assisted or provide assistance to other artists or organizations?
Yeah, community outreach right now, everybody's just kind of, stuck in that bubble at home. And everybody out there is struggling. Chris knows he has a lot of friends in the film industry who haven't worked since February. I mean, they're out of work. They're looking for work. But we're looking for ways to just help everybody in every way, whether it's monetary donations to organizations and stuff like that. I mean, it's what can you do? I mean, we're stuck at home, so it's not like you can go volunteer somewhere, or it's just to kind of keep people's spirits up and just say, hey, let's work through this. We'll get through this. And and just trying to be positive through this whole outbreak. I was fortunate to where, I was involved in this construction of the building. It was an essential business. So I got up and I came into the studio every day during construction, because I had to. So, I mean, I was stuck at home. I'm not going to lie, for a few weeks, but, for the most part, I'm just so lucky. I haven't really skipped a beat through this whole thing. And I feel for the people who are struggling and who want to get back to work and who come in here and see what we built and can't wait to get back to work, and
Right.
we're just leaving our door open to them. And, hey, if they want to come by and just kind of hang out with us for a little bit, wear a mask and take your temperature, just to kind of lift up their spirits a little bit.
Are you guys, are you setting up, do you have a system in place for potential filmmakers to come tour the studio, and how can those artists find out about those opportunities? Chris,
Yeah.
you wanna take that one?
Yeah. So absolutely, that was one of the big things too, talking with Doug, is making this space welcoming to the next generation of filmmakers. I'm going to date myself, but I graduated from UNT back in '06. And at that time, it was, if you wanted to be in the film space, you're moving to LA, or you're going to go to New York. So you're going to go to the coast, maybe Atlanta. But there really wasn't a huge footprint here. I was, fortunate enough to put my flag down here in DFW Metroplex. And I told myself I didn't want to leave, but I was tired of seeing this really great talent leave, and kind of a talent drain from the area. And so Doug and I have already been on some calls with some local universities, talking about how we can encourage students to come down here, whether they want to look at some type of, screenwriting competition with their graduates, or their, their seniors that can write a screenplay and then actually can come down here and produce it over 48 hours. And, one of the ideas we had was being able to host maybe a Lowtown student film festival that we are getting from these universities and even high schools. Let's don't just cap it. So that's kind of that community outreach as well. And really want to make sure that we're giving an alternative space for people that think, hey, I have to go out to the coast to make films or commercials or make it, because you don't. We have everything that you would need to do a full-length feature film, to shoot your short film, to do a commercial, a music video, and even now with the streaming, a live event, if you want to even do that. So, that was always in our thinking, and I truly believe that we've created that space.
Very nice, very nice. So I've got a question for you, Doug. I know that for the most part, film studios have a perception of filmmaking, obviously. Now that we're in this situation where other disciplines of art have a necessity for a virtual platform, my assumption is you're open to any artistry in your studio. Have you started to receive any sort of shout outs, or any other musicians or theater people reaching out to see what benefits a film studio might have for them?
Absolutely. Just by word of mouth, Sharon Keaton was in here with the opera. And then as a follow-up after her shoot, her son was in here shooting part of a music video that he's going to be putting out. And even I've had a consultant come in from Frisco that is looking for ways to present content to his audiences that's not through Zoom. He said his audiences are getting tired of Zoom calls, and he can see his audience dropping off. So he's trying to figure out a way to, engage an audience for 12 hours, because that's, they're consulting. Those things are 2 days. It's 6 hours a day.
Wow.
And he's trying to put some kind of virtual environment in camera, so these people can be more engaged and be more excited. So they're just not looking at a blank wall behind them. And like you say, musicians. I've probably had, half a dozen or more musicians come in here, say, hey man, I saw your website, I love your stage. And then they come in, they find out that they can drive a car on stage, and they're like, oh man, this is dope. I want to shoot my next video here. And it's, I mean, it gets us excited when we hear that kind of stuff, you know? So
Sure.
yeah, from Fort Worth Opera to music videos to consultants, I mean, everybody is starting to kind of look for different ways to bring people content, because people need that. We've been so long without any face-to-face engagement that, you know, they're just trying to, people are screaming for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. So now, are you able, Chris, I know that you said that there was some, I believe, editing work going on in the editing base today. Can you give us a little insight or maybe a spoiler alert of some of the projects that have happened, are happening at the studio?
Well, I know my own personal project. I've been doing the editorial work on a kind of a docu-style short film that we filmed literally 1 week before the sporting world just closed down. So it was March 5th was when we filmed, and I've been following around a quarterback for the past 2 years. He was one of the top pro-style quarterbacks in the state, and I obviously love football, and it was something that spoke to me. So I was following his story, and I reached out to his father, and I said, you know, this is obviously pre-COVID, and I said, you know, he's got such a great story, but what I'm really interested in is the human story behind that. And for as long as I can remember, those bittersweet moments in life have always spoken to me, because you have dueling emotions here that in my mind almost should cancel each other out, right? Being happy and sad at the same time theoretically shouldn't be possible, right? But we know that we can feel that, and there's layers to that. And so this short film that I'm cutting together right now explores that space and looks at it through the lens of a father as his son is leaving. And his father's been a big part of his son's life and the training regimen. And he's now seen his son reach a really great height right now, leading into college. And so that's the teaser on that part. For clients' sake, I'll let Doug talk about the clients that he'd like to share, but we've had clients come through already, and they're actually loading in cars today, and they'll be filming next week. And so I'll let Doug chime in there.
Yeah, we actually had a client that came across our website, and they're in Houston, and she actually made the trip up about 3 weeks ago to check out the studio, and loved it so much that they booked a shoot for Monday, and they're going to be shooting some smart cars. So we've got some cars that are probably being delivered this afternoon. One was delivered this morning, and they'll be doing some B-roll footage in the garage on Sunday, and then pulling both smart cars on the green stage for a full day shoot on Monday.
Wow, it's really, really cool. Film studios are so neat. All right, my friend, Doug, it looks like you're moving on to plating there. Everything coming along okay?
I'm getting close, man. Yeah, these guys, I'm sure they're probably hungry.
I am.
All right, Doug, while you're moving through there and finalizing your plating, I guess this is probably the most important question I have, and you guys can fight over who answers it. How and where do we find out about the opportunities that you have in that studio? Where can we find out about them and get in touch with folks to make use of them?
That's pretty simple. Just, I mean, they can go to our website, lowtownstudios.com, go through booking. My personal cell phone number is on the website. They can give me a call, book a tour. Everything usually starts with a tour, but you know, like Chris said, you know, once you get somebody in here and they see the space, I mean, the first word out of their mouth is wow, this is here in Fort Worth. You know, we've had clients or a guy that Chris and I worked with kind of on the green stage. One of his clients is in LA, and he's like, I don't have to go to LA anymore. I can shoot everything here. So everything through our website.
Gotcha. Do you guys have any social media sites as well? Are you on Facebook and any of that?
Lowtown Studios Instagram, Lowtown Studios Facebook page, Lowtown Studios on LinkedIn as well.
Awesome. We'll try to get some links in the comments and stuff as well once we get the video up. And so it just sounds like just incredible. And just out of curiosity, where are you guys located?
We are located just west or just east of University off of White Settlement.
Oh, wow. Okay. So not too far out of the downtown area at all.
Yeah, basically right behind Target, West 7th, over in that area.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Very nice. Well, I'm going to put on my mask and come over and visit with you guys just to get a little tour there.
Awesome. Well,
while you're finishing, oh, go ahead, sir.
Come on over and have lunch with us today.
Yeah, it looks like I might do that. Yours is turning out better than mine, and I was so proud of it before I started cooking. But once again, I've been upended, and the guests are certainly taking the lead. So, all right, Doug, while you're plating up, I've got another question for Chris here. Chris, as an artist yourself, can you give us any tips or tricks to staying sane mentally, staying healthy physically?
Absolutely. So, I practice yoga. I enjoy yoga. So that's something that I'm able to do at my home, stay limber and give myself that little bit of quiet time to myself and process some thinking that I'm doing. Also, before the pandemic, I already worked from home. And so I had already trained myself when to shut off and do that. But when all sports went away, I love sports. And so I actually turned to my PlayStation 3. I dusted it off, plugged that bad boy in, and broke out all these sports games. And that actually was my release. I was able to, play around a golf and when we were completely locked down and do that and just escape a little bit. So I would say, to keep yourself grounded, find yourself a little bit of an escape, whether that's a book, other movies. That was the other thing too, was being able to watch movies and series that I hadn't. I took a dive into Handmaid's Tale, absolutely fell in love with it. And so it's just some really, really great content that's out there too. And that's what I've been doing. And I'll let Doug answer what he's been doing.
So during the pandemic, I actually spent a few weeks at home, like I said, but I spent a lot of my time here. But I'm a homebody. I've got a lovely wife at home that I love spending time with. I've got 3 dogs. Those are my kids. My kids are grown and married and out of the house. So we're empty nesters, but I just love being at home, just spending time with my dogs and my wife.
Very nice. Very nice. Some great insight there. And I certainly hope people take the time to head over to the website, find you on Facebook and your social media, because it just sounds like some great things are starting to take place over there. So hats off to you guys. And we couldn't be more thankful in the arts industry to have leaders like yourself bringing something that is essential to the filmmaking community, and honestly becoming more essential to a lot of the arts in general. So we're very lucky to have you. And speaking of that, it looks like you're quite the chef as well. Can we see that final plating presentation there?
There's the first plate right there. So I may even take a picture of that one. I'm kind of proud of that. So if I may, I absolutely have to give a shout out to our investors that we worked with. None of this would have happened without the investors. It starts at the top, and hats off to them. So
nice. And you can take that a little further if you want. If you want to give any shout outs to who those might be, just feel free. Or like I said, if you want, come back to the comments and feel free to put any kind of links or any information that you'd like to share with us, not only about your facility, but also about the wonderful people that are out there supporting you. So congratulations to both of you. So it's just so exciting to have you in the area.
Well, and I can attest that the studio is soundproof, but it's not quite smell-proof. It's now wafting in what Doug is making in there, and I can hear my stomach grumbling now, so I can't wait to dive in.
Right there. So, all right. Any final thoughts to add, gentlemen?
No, I mean, we want to thank you for having us.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. And I just really wanted to do this so I could have more lunch recipes from all the fabulous people in Fort Worth. I'm kidding. It has been such a joy to meet all of these creative people, yourself included. And we just could not be more grateful to you for taking the time and joining us here on Box Lunch. So I'm going to give you a little sneak peek into mine real quick. There's my fine china. It is the weekend, so I don't want to do any dishwashing. I'm going to lift up one of those bread pieces there, and you can see that beautiful bacon and cheese. And with that being said, gentlemen, grab your spoons, line those guys up at the door, and that concludes another episode of Box Lunch here at the Fort Worth Community Arts Center. Make sure you follow us on Facebook and Instagram and all of those wonderful social media resources. We've got some great content on YouTube as well. Please, ladies and gentlemen, have a wonderful weekend. Please be safe to yourself. Be safe to others. Chris, thank you so much. Doug, thank you so much. I will get over there soon. And bon appetit, everybody. Have a safe weekend. God bless and goodbye, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Take care.